I paced my room, thinking about my brother's fate. Fighting the eternal 1,000 bandits was like a hobby for him, and I held confidence in his capabilities. Years of pursuits had sharpened his skills. However, the weight of worry lingered, a nagging concern born from the unpredictability of battles. The possibility of my brother falling into a trap haunted my thoughts for days, leaving me visibly anxious. My ladies in waiting, observing my distress, expressed their concern. Initially, I brushed off their inquiries, but their persistent worry led to a heartfelt confession. Cedrica, surprisingly, stepped forward. "I'll go check on him for you, Your Majesty." My brother was stationed in a remote border town. Would she truly travel that far just to observe him? "You don't have to go there." I don't mind. I'm also curious to see how he fights against the eternal 1,000 bandits. I gave her a small smile and refrained my instinct to decline once more. Her genuine interest in my brother was apparent. Despite her unorthodox demeanor, Cedrica revealed herself to be a genuinely caring individual. Reluctant to interfere with her genuine curiosity, I thanked her sincerely. "Very well, Miss Cedrica. Please be safe. I hope you return with good news." Cedrica nearly jumped for joy, and then gathered herself. "Yes, Bronwyn. Thank you, Your Majesty." I smiled to myself and decided to get some fresh air and seek out my parents. Aware of their imminent departure from the Celestial Isles, I yearned for more time with them. I spotted my dear parents on the second-floor terrace, accompanied by Henry. My heart swelled at the sight. The three of them strolling together painted a heartwarming scene. Overwhelmed, I placed a hand on my chest, contemplating the profound joy of witnessing my loved ones getting along. Thoughts of what could have been with Henry's parents, who I never got to meet, brought a tinge of sadness. Yet my deep connection with my own parents anchored me. As Henry interacted with them, laughter echoed. A new determination rose up within me. I would reciprocate the happiness he bestowed upon me, though doubts lingered about the lasting nature of his love. He was already my husband, and part of my family.
King Henry and the Trobys did not know that Bronwyn was watching them from above. They crossed a beautiful path covered with lavender and cornflowers and entered a garden full of tulips. Even Bronwyn couldn't see them there. Perhaps fortunately. The atmosphere between the three became heavy as they entered the garden. This was because the topic turned away from family and personal matters to focus on state affairs.
"I fear the dominance of the Celestial Isles will deeply disturb those in power in Elysaria. Now that you have declared the Celestial Isles an empire, there will be a fiercer competition for power. You already know that you have an adversary in the east, but I fear there may be even greater threats in the unknown."
Your role as king and your role as a husband will not always be aligned. That's what worries us. Even if Elysaria and the Celestial Isles manage to coexist in harmony, the position of the kingdoms and other aligned powers will change, as there will be now 2 global superpowers. Eventually, you will face each other directly, or indirectly.
They were both right, so Henry didn't know how to answer. It was not part of his plans to fall in love with the Queen of Elysaria on his reconnaissance trip there, yet meeting her was now the greatest happiness of his life. But it was also true that several of his life plans changed as a result of this love. Seeing his son-in-law lost in thought, Duke Troby spoke cautiously and kindly.
"Hopefully that won't happen, but even if it does, I hope Bronwyn won't get hurt. I will do everything in my power to make sure that she doesn't.
The Duke and Duchess nodded, and the three of them continued to walk in a thoughtful silence.
One of the new maids you hired has been spreading a rumour that you have been looking for something very important. What are you talking about?
Rose's legs went numb after her maid, Kaya, dropped this information into her lap. After attending the wedding in the Celestial Isles, Rose moved quickly in search of the certificate Oscar had mentioned. She didn't want to leave this task in the hands of others because it was a certificate that represented a great weakness. So she had been looking for it on her own.
Find out immediately who started that rumour.
When she searched the rooms or the gardens, Rose found it difficult to escape the stares of people in the vicinity. However, the fact that she was known to be looking for something was definitely a rumor started by someone close to her. As expected, the culprit was caught in no time. It was one of Rose's newly hired maids.
Forgive me, Your Majesty. Please forgive me. I didn't mean to start any odd rumours. I just told someone who was watching Your Majesty walk from one place to another that you were looking for something.
The maid cried and pleaded with clasped hands. Rose's eyes blazed fiercely. She grabbed the maid's chin and snarled.
Didn't I make it quite clear that in the Imperial Palace you were to be careful with your actions? Please, please, please.
The maid repeatedly begged for forgiveness, but Rose had no sympathy. Besides, she was the first newly hired maid to cause a problem. To prevent a similar case from happening in the future, Rose felt it necessary to give a severe punishment as a warning to the others.
Viscountess Amelia, what do you know about this girl's father? Her father is sentenced to death. However, the execution has not been carried out, despite having spent several years in prison due to his good behavior. Have him executed. No, no, no!
Viscountess Amelia looked at Rose in surprise. However, Rose felt no remorse. The maid crawled on her knees, grabbed Rose by the legs, and repeatedly begged the Queen to forgive her, but eventually collapsed from exhaustion.
Please, please, I'll do anything. It's too late. It is done. Your father has already died by hanging.
Although he had not yet been executed, Rose deliberately said this to hurt the maid, whose lips trembled with rage. Her father had been sentenced to death for murder, but the man her father murdered was an unscrupulous criminal who had kidnapped and murdered her younger brother for a few pennies. For this reason, her father had not been executed, despite having been sentenced to death. The maid could not believe that it had all ended in such an absurd way. She angrily lifted the chair next to her and pounced on Rose.
Die!
The chair was light and backless, but the maid swung it with all her might, so Rose could be seriously injured if she was struck. Rose instinctively shielded her belly as the chair made contact, and Viscountess Amelia hastily pushed the maid from the side.
Ugh.
Rose fell to the floor, curled up, and screamed. The guards outside the door rushed into the bedroom. Seeing the Queen in pain, the broken chair on the floor, and the maid furious, they rushed to lift Rose in alarm. The maid who swung the chair tried to lunge at Rose again, but the guards hurriedly restrained her. The maid struggled, and her eyes blazed. Her anger was greater than her fear. At this point, she wanted to finish off Rose at any cost. However, she was no match for the rough and robust guards. Rose touched her forehead as she stared at the maid. She felt dizzy, and her belly throbbed.
Get the palace doctor.
About 15 minutes later, the palace doctor appeared, and another 15 minutes later, Aldrich appeared.
Rose.
Although she was being attended to by the palace doctor, Rose stood up as soon as Aldrich entered and spoke on the verge of tears.
It hurts so much.
What happened? Rose was relieved to see his face, but at the same time frightened. The maid should be punished severely for attempting to assassinate a member of the imperial family, but Rose was worried that she would talk about her father's execution. Everything had happened so fast. The guards had suddenly entered the bedroom, and blood was flowing from her forehead, so she had forgotten to order the guards to cut out the maid's tongue.
A maid attacked Her Majesty.
Is the injury serious?
Fortunately not. As the palace doctor's words trailed off, Aldrich approached the bed and brushed the hair away from Rose's forehead. The injury could not be seen because of the bandage.
Is the cut deep?
I'll do my best, but I'm afraid she'll be left with a scar.
A scar?
A scar can fade with time. It's a relief that it's just a small scar.
Rose was about to express her discontent, but Aldrich was already asking the palace doctor another question.
And the baby?
Yes, as far as I can tell, but I think we need to be more careful. Aldrich nodded in relief and left the bedroom to enter a small room that the maid had been locked in. The maid was on her knees, with both hands tied tightly behind her back by the guards.
Your Majesty, the Queen executed my father.
What are you talking about?
The Queen executed my father as punishment. I made a mistake, but it absolutely wasn't serious enough for her to kill my father, Your Majesty.
No prisoner has been executed recently.
But Her Majesty said...
Rose ran into the room when she realized the maid had Aldrich's ear.
That maid is scared because she spread a strange rumor about me, Your Majesty. I didn't kill anyone. I wouldn't do such a dreadful thing.
The maid's face paled, and Aldrich sighed and led Rose back into her chambers.
It's a pity, but a crime is a crime. First, imprison that maid. And Rose, you can't execute a person hastily unless it's related to the murder of a member of the royal family.
Even if I'm the Queen?
Yes, even if you're the Queen.
But, Your Majesty, the maid started the rumor that I was behaving strangely. She wanted to ruin the Queen's image.
Still, one cannot hastily execute a person.
I was not the Queen when Viscount Langdale was sentenced to be executed. Yet you ordered that hastily.
He stabbed you with a knife and was caught in the act.
Your Majesty is too cold. All you do is scold me. Don't you care in the least?
Neither that maid nor her father can be hastily executed.
I didn't order her father executed.
Empty threat or not, you said it. For those who know you have the power to carry it out, it would never sound like empty words. Guards, from now on, if Rose decides to harm anyone by relying on her position as Queen, I must be informed before carrying out her orders. Whoever breaches this will have to take full responsibility.
Rose felt deeply insulted. She couldn't believe he was saying this in front of the guards. Now everyone in the Queen's palace would assume that the Queen had no power.
You put honor before love, Your Majesty. Efficiency and speed had come to characterize my routine as I confidently managed my responsibilities, one of which was keeping in touch with Grand Duke Bjorn about our eminent trade agreement. Laura, who had noticed the length of our correspondences increasing and the time between them decreasing, made a suggestion. Wouldn't it be better if I arranged a meeting for you two? When it becomes necessary. At the moment, there isn't much to discuss that cannot be written down. Of course, I couldn't tell her that Bjorn's undying love for me was what was keeping us apart. The last thing my staff needed was another scandal involving the leaders meant to rule them. Fortunately, I had assigned Carlyle and Miss Maloney to spearhead the task at hand. When they came to me to present their investigation reports on the profitability of a trade agreement with Rat, I examined them closely. Did you conduct the investigation together?
No, Your Majesty. We worked independently.
With a cunning smile, I switched which report was in which hand. Is that so? These reports are eerily similar, filled with even the same errors. Would you like to read each other's work? Their expressions became rigid. This investigation is shameful. I'm disappointed. You'd better leave. I'll take care of this myself. Smug in my authority, I recounted the experience that evening to Henry.
If they were going to find an easy way out of the report you requested for them, I would think they'd at least put a little more thought into how to get away with it.
From the looks on their faces, I think it's the last time they'll try such a thing.
Were the reports really that bad?
No, I was just trying to scare them into telling me the truth. He smiled, as though he was reading my thoughts.
You did it to find out which one copied the report. That will be the first person to come visit you.
I nodded, and instead of taking the next bite out of my ham, I gave his cheek a gentle bite.
I am not your dinner.
No, you're my dessert.
I know there's quite a lot of people there, actually, and like multiple.
3 days had passed, but contrary to my expectations, neither Lady Maloney or Carlyle came to see me. Perhaps they were more clever than I had thought. Pondering my next move, I continued along when I overheard some nobles whispering. The subject was very strange.
A ghost? Are you sure?
Oh, how scary. Don't say that. I won't be able to go out at night.
It's real. Many people have seen it already. It's said to be a male ghost with a crown on his head.
Could it be the late King Wharton? There is a rumour that His Majesty Henry poisoned the late king. I stopped in my tracks as I listened to these ignorant nobles discussing ghosts. Once I would have laughed, but that was before seeing the apparition of Viscountess Verdi. I was never quite convinced that my eyes were playing tricks on me, but despite my belief in spirits, the nobles on Catherine's side came to mind. Were they the ones who were spreading the rumour? Catherine went to Compshire, but many nobles and officials who supported her stayed here. Is it possible they were targeting Henry to try to turn the situation around?
Rose, alone in her chamber, was contemplating her situation. She muttered to herself, revealing her concerns.
At this rate, Aldrich will try to make Schuyler the third queen, snatch my child from me and divorce me, just like what happened with Queen Bronwyn.
Rose opened her jewellery box, pulling out a large, beautiful sapphire necklace.
I must act smart and calmly. Queen Bronwyn had an affair while married to Aldrich, so immediately after her divorce she left with that man. But since I have devoted myself only to Aldrich, I am in a difficult position.
Once she regained her strength and no longer required the services of the palace physician, she sought an audience with Aldrich to discuss her plans.
Your Majesty, recent events have left me deeply disturbed. May I be permitted to retreat to the serene countryside for a period of recuperation and reflection?
To the countryside?
Certainly, Your Majesty. The palace physician has stressed the importance of relaxation for the well-being of the unborn child. However, the prevailing unrest within the palace complicates matters, does it not?
Despite the unpleasantness of the chair incident, she painted this as an opportune moment to fulfill a long-standing wish. And where do you intend to reside?
In Mooring.
Mooring was a quaint city, where many nobles found themselves on brief vacations. It was an escape from the chaos of all that went on in the capital.
Aldrich purchased a small villa for Rose to stay in so that she could have the space to herself. He insisted that many guards go with her, but she slipped out unnoticed one day. Unbeknownst to Aldrich, she was in mourning to seek out the man who had aided her escape from Viscount Rothescue before she had arrived at the palace. She had meticulously conducted an investigation, unearthing a shocking revelation. The man, whose name was Pix, had sacrificed an eye to Viscount Rothescue as a brutal punishment for aiding her escape. Yet he remained steadfast in defending Rose, maintaining an unwavering loyalty. She sought him out and arrived at his residence. Upon removing her hood, she elicited tears of joy from the man. Overwhelmed with emotion, he dropped the basket in his hands, sobbing uncontrollably.
It is a pleasure to see you, Pix. You have been a friend to me since I was a slave, and now that I am queen, I have come to be a friend to you.
Rose! Miss Rose! The Queen!
I've struggled to live a semblance of an ordinary life, but Viscount Rothescue persists in his threats against me.
He's despicable scum! Rose went on, revealing Liliana's shameless attempts to steal Aldrich, the man she loved. Unable to contain her emotions, Rose's tears flowed freely. The man, harboring both love for Rose and a deep-seated resentment against Viscount Rothescue, responded by slamming his fist down on the table. So, you've had to run away again? But coming here isn't a good option, Rose.
I came here to see you.
Me?
You're the only one who can help me. Please help me.
What can I do? How can I help? Rose cradled his gaunt cheeks in her hands.
It won't be a difficult request. I wouldn't ask you to do something like that.
Don't worry. Ask me anything you want.
I need to hire someone trustworthy and skillful.
Skillful?
I want to hire an assassin.
The man was utterly shocked. Despite being familiar with the darker aspects of the world, the request from the delicate and sweet Rose to hire an assassin left him astounded. Do you want me to kill Viscount Rothescue? I don't think I would be able to do that.
Perhaps you can help me find someone who can.
Well, there is an assassin's guild I have heard of, but Rose, those commoners who are skilled enough to kill nobles are really expensive.
Don't worry, I will take care of that.
Once Pix had told Rose where to go, she followed his directions immediately. She entered the guild and handed the first person she saw guarding the entrance a large jewel with a trembling hand. Please come this way. The corridor was narrow, lined with numerous doors on either side. The clerk pointed to the end of the hall. Don't go into any rooms, just keep going that way. Rose followed the instructions, feeling a knot in her stomach due to her nerves. At the end of the corridor was a small room, completely empty except for a desk and 2 chairs that were placed in the center. As Rose paced, unable to sit still, a tall man with a mask covering his face entered. His eyes were cold and sharp. He pulled up a chair and sat down, staring at Rose in silence.
Is it true you'll do anything for money?
The assassin nodded silently.
Do you know Pix?
Another nod from the assassin.
If I give you money, would you kill Pix too?
If the assassin said no, she was going to pretend she didn't mean it. She wanted to check how heartless and skillful he was. Another nod from him.
Then kill him. Call it a test.
Wait here a moment. Rose did not know whether 3 or 12 hours passed once the assassin left the room. She simply sat there, writhing with anxiety.
What the hell is he doing?
But he finally reappeared, holding something wrapped in a cloth. As he approached, the smell of blood intensified. Rose covered her nose, feeling nauseous. The assassin placed the object on the table. The first thing Rose saw was an eye patch. She could not handle the sickening sight. The assassin sat patiently, waiting for her to process what she had seen. Eventually, she sat back down across from him.
Can you kill nobles too?
The assassin, cloaked in shadows, nodded solemnly at Rose, who had just asked about his ability to kill nobles. He had proven that he could kill people he was close to, but Pix was just a commoner. That was a test of his character, not his skill.
So can you kill Liliana, Viscount Rothescue's daughter?
The assassin, a spectre in the darkness, accepted the deadly proposition. Rose withdrew a handful of precious jewels from her pocket and extended them to him. But a chilling change overcame her.
Instead of killing her, can you sell her as a slave to another country? Is that possible?
The assassin, unflinching, acknowledged the modified request. Liliana, a haughty and disdainful figure, had treated Rose as a vulgar slave, subjecting her to scorn. The assassin perhaps thought that Rose's change of heart was due to mercy or a sudden pang of morality, but for Rose, it was a punishment worse than death.
Just wait, Liliana. A vulgar slave will now be you. The flickering candlelight cast an eerie glow on the opulent surroundings. I scrutinized Henry while we lay next to each other, as I could not let the idea of ghosts leave my mind. I leaned in, a subtle challenge in my voice. Are you scared of ghosts? He studied me, seeming to decide whether he wanted to play helpless or heroic.
The only ghost I fear would be yours, but I would only fear it for a moment, because if you were to leave this earth, I would not be long after you.
Henry's charming smile radiated sincerity as he extended his hand across the bed. I reciprocated, and he seized my hand, planting a gentle kiss on my lips. Our kissing began to heat up, and as I prepared for the weight of his body to be on top of mine, I felt a slight tremble. Why are you trembling?
I tremble with anticipation for you.
Then what are you waiting for?
The following day, Henry brooded over Bronwyn's peculiar question from the day before. Bronwyn was speaking to him about ghosts, and he was no stranger to the rumors that had been circulating. Had his brother returned from beyond the grave to haunt him? He did promise he would care for Catherine, but she had left him with no choice but to send her away from the kingdom, at the risk of destroying it. He paced anxiously in his office with his hands clasped behind his back, wrestling with his thoughts. The intrusion of urgent matters swiftly diverted his attention. Haxon had just returned from a spy mission to Elisaria and brought ominous tidings.
Haxon, please enter. Tell me your findings.
I learned that there is a high risk in extracting magic from a skillful sorcerer.
By high risk, you mean it doesn't work, or?
There have been cases where extracting magic has led to an increase instead.
That would be a difficult situation.
Henry grimaced and pressed his temples.
It is best to extract the magic just after it manifests in a person, or when it is not yet well established. Henry grew frustrated as he realized that his ambitions might face a setback due to these unforeseen complications. But that wasn't the most surprising information Haxon was there to deliver. King Aldrich has a new concubine.
A concubine? Different from Rose?
Yes.
Is that concubine a sorcerer? If not, I'm not interested.
She's not currently a sorcerer, but she's an assistant to a court sorcerer.
She works for the court sorcerer.
What's more unusual is that she is a person who lost her magic while attending the Magical Academy. I was wondering if it was related to our plan.
How can he place his own concubine, who has lost her magic, as an assistant to a sorcerer?
Henry, recalling the recent scandal caused by Aldrich's divorce and remarriage, mused on the king's audacity. But a revelation struck him.
What is the sorceress's name?
Skyla.
Stop extracting magic from the sorcerers in Elisaria's capital right away.
Henry, cautious not to jeopardize his plans, changed the plan swiftly.
Instead of extracting from Elisaria's sorcerers, we'll ensure their number doesn't increase. That way, we'll avoid trouble.
Your Majesty, I'm concerned that Bronwyn might hinder the plans you've been preparing. She seems to be your main focus. It takes an immense amount of time and effort to move forward with the plans we've discussed. You have not been spending this kind of time on your work, but on your wife.
Get out.
Henry let those words hang in the air, offended but afraid. Should he have let his insolent cousin explain why he thought Bronwyn would be an issue? No. No matter what, Haxon would be wrong, so it did not matter.
I could not get the ghost out of my mind, and there seemed to be one man who held all the answers. With a great deal of anxiety, I asked Grand Duke Bjorn to visit me in my chambers, to see what the sorcerer knew of otherworldly apparitions. I would focus on King Wharton, as I was a bit embarrassed to admit that this was not my first encounter with the spirit world. Regardless of whether it was due to a supernatural cause or someone trying to intimidate my new kingdom, I wanted answers. You never knew how even a little rumor could change things. It would be best to quash it before it grew, especially if the intentions of the person who started the rumor were not good. Viscount Langdale had offered his assistance and stationed his knights where the ghost had reportedly appeared. Yet the culprit remained elusive. If catching them was simple, I would have succeeded by now. That is why I now found myself face to face with a man who claimed that his love for me would make him do unspeakable things. I began the conversation focused on trade matters, as I knew, if he thought it was something personal, he might flee the country altogether.
So, as we have discussed, the items to be traded can be essential goods on the Horsted and Wall continents, non-essential goods on the two continents, useful goods not available on both continents, exotic luxury goods, some grains and fruits, among others.
Do you know of a good trader who can take care of the market research?
The king's help is needed in this matter. I haven't been in the Western Empire for a long time, so I don't have the detailed information about the trade groups.
Though Bjorn still bore the effects of the potion, the efficiency of an in-person meeting far surpassed the efficiency we were able to achieve through letters. After our discussion, as I escorted Bjorn to the door, he hesitated, glancing at me repeatedly before disclosing an unexpected revelation. I had been careful to keep my words focused only on trade matters, but I had kept my thoughts on the source of the ghost rumors.
The rumors are being spread by Marquis Carriage, and Duke Liberty turns a blind eye.
With that, he left abruptly, leaving me to comprehend the startling revelation. The ghost rumors are being spread by Catherine's cousin. The revelation I uttered lingered heavily in the room. Countess Julia, fetch His Majesty the King. Tell him it is an urgent matter. Yes, Your Majesty. After about 20 minutes, Henry arrived, panting as though he had run there.
What is going on, my queen?
His eyes narrowed when he saw Grand Duke Bjorn beside me, but when I disclosed my findings to Henry, with the assistance of Grand Duke Bjorn, his expression darkened.
Marquis Carriage can use illusionary magic. He must have used that magic to cause the ghost's commotion.
Marquis Carriage is a sorcerer. I had no prior knowledge of Catherine's cousin being a sorcerer. Shouldn't he be working in a magic-related department? Then again, both Grand Duke Bjorn and Henry, exceptional sorcerers, weren't involved in such fields either. Isn't Duke Liberty Lady Milani's maternal uncle?
Yes, my queen.
Henry, may I take care of this matter?
My queen? Of course you can, but what do you plan to do?
I'll use the eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth method. At my resolute statement, Henry's face broke into a broad smile. He seemed to appreciate the approach.
Have you thought of a particular way?
I have thought about it. First, I'll ask Viscount Langdale for some of the most capable supranational knights. Then I'll make sure that Marquis Carriage can't get out of bed for at least a week.
Is that really an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, my queen?
Yes.
Not really. It sounds like I'll work it out with fists.
Henry burst into laughter, but my stern glare prompted a quick recovery.
If the ghosts stop appearing as soon as Marquis Carriage loses consciousness, it will become obvious who the culprit is. Then, this time, we will be the ones spreading the rumor.
After commissioning the assassin to turn Liliana into a slave, Rose immediately returned to the villa Aldrich had purchased for her in Mooring. For the first few days, the image of Pix's decapitated head did not leave Rose's mind. She found herself throwing up over and over again. Thankfully, the villa staff attributed her nausea to morning sickness. As time passed, the shock faded, and the thought of Liliana becoming a slave made Rose feel very happy. She was able to spend the rest of the time happily enjoying the countryside, and only when it all became boring did she return to the royal palace. Shortly after she arrived back in her chambers, she was visited by the man she both hated and needed most, Viscount Rothescue. She remembered that, before she took matters into her own hands, she had also asked Rothescue to secure a mercenary for her. At first, she felt silly for involving a man she hated to help her with something she could do herself. But she realized she needed many people to use as her arms and legs. As she entered the drawing room, Viscount Rothescue sat where he usually did. Beside him was a man in a hooded cloak, concealing his face. "This is the mercenary I found. He's very skillful. He can do whatever you want, as long as he receives the appropriate amount of money."
Can't you take off your hood?
The same happened with the assassin. Rose wondered why they covered their faces from even the Queen.
How do you expect me to trust you if I do not know who you are?
But the mercenary refused. Because of the work they did, they never revealed their faces publicly. Many people held grudges against them. Instead, he showed Rose his index, middle, and ring finger, on which he had the same ring. He seemed to want her to recognize him through them.
All right, fine. But I can't hire you right away. I'd like to see how skillful you are first.
The mercenary nodded as if asking what he had to do. It took all of Rose's willpower to not shout, "Kill the person next to you." Instead, she considered who she could trust with the secret.
Go tonight to Duke Elegy's and bring me the bracelet he wears on his wrist. However, you must not for any reason harm him.
The mercenary nodded and stood up wordlessly. He and Viscount Rothescue left the room. Rothescue gave Rose a terrifying smile on the way out. Once they were gone, Rose hurried to visit Duke Elegy. She wanted to inform him in advance about the mercenary and ask for his cooperation. She was sure he'd tell her with a smile not to worry. But when Duke Elegy heard what Rose had to say, he was quite unhappy. "Rose, you really take advantage of me."
Never! Absolutely never! You are the person I trust most. That's why I put this in your hands, really.
You leave something in the hands of the person you trust the most that puts his life at risk. He turned to the wall with a cold, bitter expression. He folded his arms as if waiting for her to leave. Rose couldn't believe he wouldn't even look her in the eye. The mercenary's test would be that night. There wasn't much time left, and there was no way she could cancel it now. In the end, she turned around and headed back to the Western Palace, dejected. She muttered to herself, under her breath,
I'll have to talk to him again, once his anger has passed.
Duke Elegy stood by the window and watched her leave. When she was completely out of sight, his face twisted into a broad smile. He turned to his squire. Take care of the preparations. Restless and fraught with anxiety, Rose found no solace in sleep. The impending uncertainties surrounding the mercenary and Duke Elegy haunted her throughout the night.
It's all right. I'll give him a sincere apology tomorrow, and his anger will dissipate entirely.
Acknowledging the need for patience, Rose attempted to quell her unease. However, at 4 a.m., when the mercenary presented Duke Elegy's bracelet, fury overcame Rose. There, stained with blood, the bracelet bore witness to unseen struggles. The mercenary extended the artifact, the rings on his fingers flickering in the dim candlelight.
What in the seven hells is this?
Duke Elegy proved a formidable target. He defended himself vigorously. The taking of the bracelet necessitated a skirmish.
Though Rose seethed, she couldn't deny the mercenary's prowess. Duke Elegy's strength was apparent at first glance, making the mercenary's triumph over both him and his guards a testament to remarkable skill. After breakfast, Rose hastened to the southern palace. As she anticipated, Duke Elegy's ire burned even hotter than the previous day. He greeted Rose coldly, betraying no sign of warmth upon seeing her. More distressingly, he declared his intent to depart Elisaria.
What do you mean you're leaving?
Without a reason to linger here, my departure is imminent.
Where will you go?
Home.
Don't abandon me, please.
She clutched at him desperately.
If you depart, I shall be left to weather this brutal and heartless realm alone. His Majesty's regard has waned, and others merely acknowledge my crown. Only you, Duke, see me for who I am. If you depart...
Yesterday left me truly disheartened. Rose, it feels as if you exploited our friendship. As Duke Elegy packed, Rose noticed a bandage where his bracelet usually rested.
Please, spare me further agony.
He ignored her, continuing to pack as she wept on the floor of his room. She considered how he had remained her steadfast ally amidst the scorn of the nobles at court. His support endured even after her ascent from concubine to queen. The realization that this ally was now angry with her and on the brink of departure was a daunting truth to absorb.
Can I endure without Duke Elegy?
She suddenly gasped in realization. Did she love him? Aldrich, the prince who once rescued her, proved fickle, abandoning his allegiances with ease. Duke Elegy was just the opposite. He remained a constant presence. Though Aldrich lingered in her heart, her feelings for Duke Elegy flourished.
Please, I have something to tell you.
There's nothing left to discuss.
I cherish you. I love you. Please do not forsake me.
Duke Elegy was not facing her, so she could not see that there was a smile on his face. All he had orchestrated was coming to fruition. I'm sorry, but it sounds like you're just saying that on impulse. Rose, I think you're confused right now because your relationship with His Majesty is not good. Or are you pretending to be confused on purpose?
Duke Elegy, you misunderstand. I'm not confused. It's the turmoil with His Majesty that clouds my judgment. I'm serious, really serious. Just the thought of you leaving is so painful. How could this not be love?
Rose spoke hurriedly and embraced Duke Elegy from behind.
Please be my lover, Duke.
While it wasn't unheard of for a member of another country's royal family to become a lover of the queen or king, this situation seemed different. You have no power as queen. Unfortunately, you are now a queen in name only.
What are you saying?
If I, a member of the royal family of another country, become your lover, I will lose my reputation in my home country.
I'll not always be a queen in name only. I can promise you that.
That is out of your hands. Rose's pride was wounded. She had never before been in the position of begging for a man's love, let alone his eye contact. But people might laugh less if you give me a gift of great value by signing a lover contract. Remembering the lavish gifts from Aldrich after signing the concubine contract, Rose eagerly inquired,
What do you want? Money? Jewelry?
Duke Elegy pretended to ponder and then exclaimed dramatically, A territory! Give me a territory near the coast. As you know, my country is a maritime kingdom, so it's more convenient for me to remain near the sea.
I don't know if I can.
If not, you can't have me. It's better not to go any further for both our sakes. Squire, prepare my carriage.
I'll find a way.
Rose hastily clung to Duke Elegy, shouting passionately,
I will find a way.
Baron Lant looked at Aldrich with a grim expression. Aldrich stared at him expectantly.
There is much talk that the Queen held Duke Elegy back when he was about to leave.
Aldrich grimaced, but just for a moment. He remembered that he must take care of business, not just be affected by it. Were they seen publicly?
It is said that while Duke Elegy was loading his luggage into the carriage, Rose rushed over to him. After that, the two went into his room and had a long conversation. In the end, Duke Elegy brought down his luggage and decided to stay. Rumors even suggest scandalous scenarios about her detaining Duke Elegy with her body.
It seems that the more innocent a person is, the faster their reputation darkens. Aldrich's remark implied his belief in Rose's genuine innocence. Surrounded by cunning individuals, Rose appeared like a wildflower, weathering the storm alone. Aldrich felt a need to safeguard her purity.
Your Majesty, shouldn't we stop the Queen? If she continues acting like this, the royal family will become a laughingstock.
Let's leave her for the moment. What's more important now is the baby in her belly. Do you have anything else to report?
It's not about Elisaria. It's a scandal between the former Queen of the Celestial Isles, Catherine, and King Henry.
Baron Lant explained when and how the scandal unfolded, revealing that Queen Catherine's claim of being with King Henry was false, and that she had been with Grand Duke Bjorn instead. Aldrich remembered bitterly that Grand Duke Bjorn had been with Rose that night. As Baron Lant disclosed the details of the scandal, the king's expression hardened.
What?
Grand Duke Bjorn must have lied. But did he do it to help King Henry or to assist Bronwyn? I knew it. That shameless playboy, Henry, was just pretending to be a man deeply in love. Baron Lant sensed Aldrich's animosity towards King Henry, and wisely remained silent, especially because he noticed Aldrich seemed far more incensed about this than the news about Rose. Leave me. Fueled by anger, Aldrich yearned to confront Henry in order to ensure Bronwyn's well-being. Yet he grappled with the dilemma of offering comfort in the appropriate manner. Bronwyn had strong pride. She would definitely not accept comfort from her ex-husband. Aha! After thoughtful consideration, Aldrich devised a plan. Cedrica's search for Oscar in the village of Compshire was filled with frustration, yet she remained determined. She had combed through the village, asking locals about a very handsome man, which she believed described Oscar perfectly. The task felt somewhat embarrassing, but she was committed to fulfilling Bronwyn's request. As she wandered, the distinct sounds of clashing metal caught her attention. The clash of swords was unmistakable, and it was followed by a chorus of curses and the sound of someone sobbing. Her heart raced with concern. Could it be Oscar? Picking up her pace, Cedrica headed towards the source of the commotion. The village, usually peaceful, now echoed with the sounds of conflict. As she turned a corner, her eyes quickly scanned the scene. Two men were locked in what appeared to be a heated sword fight. One of them, with striking features and a formidable presence, was unmistakably Oscar. He was skillfully parrying blows from his opponent, his movements fluid and precise. However, there was a ferocity in his eyes that seemed uncharacteristic.
Oscar!
He didn't immediately hear her. He was too engrossed in the duel. His blade moved with lethal precision, though each strike was meant to disarm rather than injure. Cedrica's heart pounded as she watched. Oscar was an excellent swordsman, but the fight looked intense, and the outcome was uncertain. She needed to intervene before things escalated further. Her mind raced, trying to find a way to defuse the situation without causing Oscar any harm. Before Cedrica could figure out what to do, Oscar delivered the final blow to his opponent. The man fell to his knees, and he was dragged over to join Oscar's other victims. They were all burly and tough-looking men, tied back to back. In the center of them was Oscar, his hair shimmering in the sunlight, clearly the source of their misery. Cedrica stood there, mouth agape, trying to process the scene. The weapons neatly lined up on the ground suggested that Oscar had disarmed all these men single-handedly. It was an impressive display of skill. "Please, show mercy!" "You will tell me about the battalion west of Compshire." "We do not know anything about it. Please, sir, I have a family." Oscar walked over to the man. He held his long hair in his hands and sawed the top portion of his scalp clean off. Cedrica let out a little shriek. Upon hearing her exclamation, Oscar's attention shifted to her. Their eyes met. And though he said nothing, his expression spoke volumes. Oscar was annoyed, perhaps even embarrassed to be caught in such a situation. He had done what he did out of necessity. Putting down his sword, Oscar approached Cedrica. "Cedrica, this isn't what it looks like."
What is it then? What in the world happened here?
Oscar sighed, running a hand through his hair. He couldn't help but worry about Cedrica's reaction. He knew she would report everything to Bronwyn, and he dreaded Bronwyn's disappointment. Oscar was far more comfortable dealing with bandits than with a lady-in-waiting. He was unsure how to handle Cedrica, who had witnessed his less than noble behavior. "I was ambushed by these thugs. They thought I'd be an easy target. One had mentioned the eternal 1,000 bandits. We need as much information as we can get." Looking around, she noticed the fear in the eyes of the captured men. Oscar had clearly turned the tables on them. "They may just be local bandits. I needed to disarm them. They just kept coming. It was like they thought they could wear me down by sheer numbers. What is one of Bronwyn's ladies-in-waiting doing in a place like this anyway? You've arrived, and this looks, well, let's just say this is not the way I'd like for you to see me." Oscar's concern was evident, but for Cedrica it was a clear display of Oscar's formidable abilities. She couldn't help but be impressed, despite the gruesomeness of the situation. Cedrica's response, however, was completely unexpected. With an excited yell, she brandished a large spear.
Yeah! Woohoo! I would like us to have a duel, Oscar.
Oscar's frown deepened. A duel? With Bronwyn's lady-in-waiting? It was absurd. "Are you serious? I can't fight my sister's lady-in-waiting."
Do you think a woman can't hold her own? Do you think you're the only one who savours a fight? There's no problem. It's fine.
"No, it's not fine. If my concern lies with Bronwyn, this will only make things worse." Cedrica's eyes sparkled with the thrill of the challenge. This made Oscar reconsider his initial refusal. After all, a friendly spar might be just what he needed to clear his head. Oscar weighed his options carefully. He wanted to keep Cedrica silent about the earlier incident, but at the same time, he didn't want to harm her. What was she playing at? "Okay, then. I will accept, under one condition." Cedrica's eyes shone with anticipation, eager for whatever condition he might propose.
And what's that?
"You won't tell Bronwyn about anything you just saw." Without hesitation, Cedrica agreed, her voice ringing with excitement.
I don't care about your methods. Your secret's safe with me.
Oscar couldn't help but smile at her enthusiasm. She seemed to be a kindred spirit, someone who understood the thrill of combat. "Then draw your weapon." As the duel commenced, Oscar quickly realized he had underestimated Cedrica. She wasn't just another court lady. She was a formidable opponent in her own right. His initial strategy to handle her casually with his sword proved to be a mistake. "You're stronger and far more skilled than I expected."
And what exactly did you expect?
But as he pondered his next move, a sudden impact struck him behind his ear. He barely had time to register what happened before everything went blurry. Blinking in confusion, he tried to focus on Cedrica's face, but it was too late. His body gave in, and he collapsed on the ground.
Oscar?
Cedrica's voice was filled with genuine concern as she rushed to his side. Her face, a mix of shock and worry, hovered above him as he lay on the ground, defeated in a duel he had never expected to lose. She lowered him to the ground, holding his head in her hands.
It was raining, yet I wished for some fresh air. As the rain gently pattered outside, the rhythmic sounds echoed through the garden, setting a tranquil scene. I asked Henry to join me for a walk under cover in the courtyard. We held each other close, strolling through the lush greenery. Hearing the sound of the rain as we took a walk reminded me of Elisaria, which prompted me to ask about my brother. Do you think Cedrica has already found Oscar?
She is certainly determined. Come closer, my queen. You'll get wet. Should we find cover?
I quite enjoy this weather, feeling the rain, and your warmth at the same time. Henry pulled me into his arms tightly.
I am curious about something. Does your brother Oscar have any intention of getting married? As a nobleman, it seems that he is taking his time. I don't even know of a fiancé.
My brother is not interested in anything but fighting and swords. That said, the rumors surrounding him aren't good for a political marriage either. No father would want to marry his daughter to a ruthless man.
It always amazes me how different the two of your personalities are.
Really? But you also... I quickly swallowed my words. I was about to say, you also have a different personality than your brother. It hadn't been long since the incident with Catherine ended, and I didn't want to bring it up again. I quickly changed the topic. Henry, your birthday's coming up. Is there anything you would like to do?
I would just like to be with you.
I can think of a few things we can do. Just us. A warm bed, a firm touch. The whole day just for us.
Do you enjoy having me in the palm of your hand?
Henry held me from behind, crossing his arms over my chest. I could feel him behind me. All of him. I held his hand in mine, bringing it up to my mouth. I caressed his fingers, gently kissing the tips of his middle finger. Oh, I do. You know, the idea that you also have me in the palm of your hand is not that far-fetched either.
How far-fetched is it?
I smirked. I was embarrassed to admit just how much power he had over me. I hadn't expected to fall so deeply for you.
My queen, what do you plan to do now that you have me under your spell?
My plan? Do you think I have calculations in love?
You control me just by holding my hand. I am the king now. You wield so much power.
Henry then kissed our joined hands, a tender gesture amidst the soft patter of rain. The conversation unfolded under the gradually clearing sky, with the rain's retreat marking a change in the atmosphere. My suggestion for a private day together brought a smile to Henry's face.
Your Majesty, there is something I would like for my birthday. Would you consider bathing with me? It is something I have long desired.
Warm water, the chance to clean each other. Is there something I'm missing? I pondered his request, finding it unusual amidst the myriad of options he could have chosen.
I'd also like to see my queen's body soaking wet.
His response was unexpected and bold, prompting a rush of memories in my mind. I remember when you were soaking wet in front of me, at the fountain, just emerged from your former's majesty. You were so handsome. Your body shined in the moonlight, like a handsome angel.
I have long desired to see you in the same way, water dripping from every crevice, to feel your skin wet against mine, to be inside you, under water.
It is almost as if it was my birthday. I said this softly, desire in my voice. Henry's eyes lit up with satisfaction and desire, a silent acknowledgement of my rare compliment. His gaze fixed intently on mine. The rain ceased, and I stepped out from the shelter, quickening my pace with a newfound lightness in my step. I'll have my ladies-in-waiting prepare a bath you will never forget.